Do you ever go to a fair or a market and see a clairvoyant or a medium and you want to pay that money and go in there and find out? What is it about the fact that we want to know what's going to happen tomorrow or in the future? Why do we want to know? What is that desperation to actually know that we're going to be okay? On today's show, we're going to be speaking to a very special guest who has won an award for the best medium on Channel 7 show The One, and has also traveled around the world experiencing and sharing his medium work with everyone that he comes in contact with. Hi, I'm Joey Buzzertill, and welcome to the Secret Men's Business Podcast. On today's show, we're going to be speaking to Greg Riley, who is not just an NLP practitioner, a coach dealing with men's issues, and many, many more things. But what I want to know is all about his work as a medium. Greg, how are you?
G'day, Joey. How are you, mate?
I'm so excited.
I can't wait. This is great.
Because, I really love this whole world, right? But I don't really know someone like you. So you got to trust the people that you don't know. But because I know you, I sort of trust you more.
Well,
So is that what you find? Do people trust you because
oh,
that you've got
no,
that sort of
it's
connection
actually
to them?
it's actually weird. People trust me more because I work for a bank, or used to work for a bank, right? So I play football until I was 35 years old, 45 now. So I'm not your common or normal person. Usually, people when they see sidekick, it's the
A
lady in
woman. It's normally a
woman
woman.
in purple sitting at a card table pulling out some tarot cards, right? And I'm so not that. And then when people kind of go, well, you know, wha how do we marry these two things up? That on a Saturday you're playing football and quite a physical kind of contact sport, and then you're doing martial arts, and then you're working in a bank, right?
Mm.
What's the go there, right? So I
Well,
kind of
the
it's
other
a
thing
great
was,
lead in.
yeah, the other thing is that you don't look like a hippie or one of those. You don't look like a medium, right? I just actually realized when I was saying that it was women, all the big mediums are men, aren't they? The guys that are on TV and all that. So I really love that Tyler guy. Have you seen
Oh
him?
yes,
No,
yes.
I just think he's really innocent, and
He's
I
the
believe
poor guy.
him. Why?
He's so innocent. He's like
He's,
Bambi.
he's innocent, and he does all those celebrities.
Yeah, and the
So
pressure on him too to be able to. I mean, obviously it's heavily edited, which we go into a bit later. But yeah, I mean, he's look to put himself out there at that age. I just hope he's got good people around him to keep
Greg,
him grounded.
he's a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, I know. But as you and I know, money
Yeah.
doesn't buy happiness.
I just think that he's actually maintaining he's still sweet and innocent to me. So I don't think that he's been impacted. I think because his mum is his manager. So, but
Oh,
it's interesting to
yeah,
see someone so young actually going out there and doing something, and we'll talk about that later.
yeah.
So before we start, I guess can you tell people what you do generally, and then we'll go into the medium part.
Generally, probably first and foremost, I mean, I'm just a family man. I've just got a wife and three kids under five. I'm a great love being a dad. But then the other side of things is, helping people, whether that's through people who have passed over, people who have crossed over, the psychic work, which is the future, which we'll get into in a second. And then the therapy side of stuff, which is the coaching, hypnotherapy, and it's
Yeah.
like it's just helping people get to that end result. So I find most of my stuff from a coaching perspective revolves around relationships
Mm.
and people's relationship with themselves, people's relationship with their partners, their kids, people's relationship with alcohol and drug abuse and addictions and anxiety and depression. It's all
Mm.
the relationship,
Yeah.
right?
Do they
So
marry? Does the therapist part of you bring in the psychic part of you in a session?
oh, it's
Yeah.
so good. And
Really
that's something
good.
I said to somebody, I can't teach that. Everyone's, well,
Yeah.
how do you do that? I said, I can't. There's just some stuff I just can't teach, which is just this intuitive ability to be able to go, I need to ask this or go here or do this, or they're lying to me, or that person's doing this. It's just something that's innate within me, I think, to be able to have that wider expression of ability to see behind the cape or behind the curtain, so to speak.
Yeah.
So look, it's good, but I love it. It's great. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
I do. I think I told you that I did a course on just being not a medium but being intuitive, and
Yep.
so I it just all I did was open up something, right, and I didn't really think about it, but as the years went on, something must have kept opening
Mm.
because there are times when I'm in a session and I just feel like it's not me talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I sort of accepted that. At the beginning, it was really quite uncomfortable, especially if it was like an angry dad or something that wants to tell me. And I was yelling at the client, going, "I'm really sorry. It's not me yelling at you." So yeah, it's good. Let's go back to the very beginning because again, how does one discover that they're a medium? How does one wake up and go,
Whoa.
like what did you experience when you first started to
Uh,
notice?
yeah, way back. So I used to, when I was a young kid, used to astral travel. So I used to be able to, get up in the middle of the night, walk out of my room, leave my body back there, and head down into the road into a portal. Right, and used to be able to go to different places. So that was very young, and then that stopped when I sort of hit puberty and all that kind of stuff,
So
and
we're
and then
talking really young.
yeah, probably 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. And I always had two girls with me too. There was these two girls in white that were in every single experience. They were there, and I presume they were just my guides or whatever they were at that time. They used to travel everywhere with me and used to be able to go different places and experience different things. And
Mm.
I didn't think anything of it, but
Can I
I was
interrupt for
also
a sec? So I'm getting a vibe that you weren't scared.
no. But even though I was brought up Roman Catholic, so
Mm.
I was born
I
into
know, but
sin.
you're a young kid and you're astral traveling and all that. So it sounds like it was all organic for you, while
Yeah,
other people might freak out.
it was all. I mean, at that age, you don't question anything, right? It's just an experience. You don't. It was such a nice, freeing experience. There was just an exploration. So I didn't. I just thought it was normal because I didn't talk about it to anybody. I just thought, okay, this is what naturally happens at night. Away we
Mm.
go. Awesome. But yeah, that sort of shut down. And then I suppose I got into my late teens and I partied hard. Like I read really hard. So
So
I
you had a good time.
I, I put a lot of stuff up my nose, um, and that was an experience in itself. But I had pretty much everything. I had the job, I had the house, I had the car, I had my little girlfriend. I had everything, right? And pretty much the whole thing about what success is for a man, what success is for people. I had it everything at in my early 20s, but just empty.
Mm.
I had nothing inside, right? So I went back to martial arts and meditation. So I started going back into that, and it was just sort of like a calling. I just felt like I had to go and do something like that, and I wasn't interested in doing psychic stuff or anything like that. And so I did it for myself first and foremost to figure out, my life was in misalignment. So what did I need to do to actually get back into alignment with who I was? So I did that, and then I was at this meditation group down in Langwarrin in Melbourne, and they had other courses there that were intuitive ability stuff. So you know what a crack. I'm here now, and so I ended up doing a tarot course. So this is the strange thing is that here I am going after work. I'm all suited up, so I used to rock up at these things in the full suit and the tie and all that kind of stuff, and everybody else around me was in tracky pants and all that stuff. And like I stood out like a sore thumb. It was really,
Mm.
and
Were,
everyone
you-
sort
were,
of.
were you the youngest one there?
I was the only dude there. I was the only male there,
Yeah,
and
like
and everybody
you
else.
because
It
you were
was
in the
it was
20s, weren't you?
yeah, but it was also really good to see the judgment as well too, because I was really judged going there because people kind of looked at it and went, "You're sort of just shouldn't even be here." And
Mm.
I found that quite interesting. It's just because I was wearing a suit that they didn't ask a question about what I was trying to do there. They just judged the fact that I was in a
Mm.
suit doing meditation.
Are we in the 90s or later?
90s.
Yeah. I think it makes sense as well. Like back then, we didn't really have, a man in a suit coming in to do an intuitive course does sound a bit odd.
Oh,
It
it's
didn't
real odd.
really start till the 2000s that people were a bit more
Yeah,
open.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a bit ahead of the game. So then I started doing the tarot course, and that was really good. So I got to really know some of the people there quite. And after that, they kind of got to know me, and they thought I was just part of the normal crew, and it was great. And it was great having them. It was actually really good having the male energy in a full female area. So
Mm.
it was actually good to break all that stuff up. So I ended up actually really loving it. So anyway, into a tarot course, and I was there with another guy, which was really good as well too. So I was two dudes in the course now, and we basically just did tarot readings. And he's one of the first parts we did was psychometry, and he just said, "Look, hold this ring and try and whatever you get through, just say what you get through." Like they had no idea what I was doing, right? I went, "Oh, okay, well, I think this is your dad's. I think he used to work at a pub. I think she was a publican. You
Oh
know,
my
your house
God.
used to have a picket white fence out the front. Um, died of a heart attack. Um, died alone. Died of broken heart. And then the guy sitting across the road from me just burst into tears.
I just
And
got goosebumps. Like, this is going to
yeah,
be one of those interviews, I know.
and I'm just running. I'm going. I've no idea what I'm saying.
So that
And
was your first time you did that,
first
and you
go, yeah,
bang, 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 bang.
bang, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And from there it was basically everyone's just going, "Oh, you got to go and do this." And again, it took me a while. So I didn't start reading for people till I was about 25, something like
Well,
that.
it's
So
still young. It's still
I did
young
probably
though.
about 2 or 3 years of training. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Because I was going to ask you, like, well, you've sort of answered the question because I wasn't sure if there was a school for that sort of thing. Like, do you? Because someone once told me that everyone's got that ability, but it just depends on. Everyone's got intuition, but people like yourself have just not taught themselves or have got access to or were born with way more capacity.
yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Same thing as the metaphor I give is the piano stuff. Everyone can play the piano. Everyone can learn to play the piano. Some people like Mozart and Beethoven and are just born talented and just have a
Right.
knack for it.
Yeah.
Same thing with intuitive ability. Everyone can learn how to do it, and you can play if you really practice hard. You can play a really, really
Mm,
good tune. But some people are just freaks, and some
yeah.
people just have that ability to do that.
Like
Right?
they have perfect pitch. But
Yeah.
it's interesting because in my head, when I was writing the question, I sort of like assumed the answer, and I really sort of thought there was going to be this horrific, this horrific moment in your life where you discovered you could see dead people. But in reality, it was quite a nice transition for you, and you comfortably accepted it. So, can you just go back to the fact that people were saying to you, "You don't belong here" in that group? But what about like when you got out and went into the world? What did people like family and friends say?
Oh no, I kept it secret for a long time. So
Ah,
so I was leaving, going to work, and I was telling people at work I was going to do an IT course. I was in IT. I was running a help desk at that time. So I was telling people I was doing an IT course when I was nicking off to meditation and doing intuitive stuff. So I
what was
kept them
that?
pretty much.
Why do you
Sorry,
think? Why did you do that? Is it because it wasn't popular back then?
because it was also it was I wasn't looking for it to be a career. I was just doing it for myself. I thought for me, it was just for me. It was private to me. I wanted to keep it. Again, it's the judgment there about why are you doing this. So I was living a bit of a double life there for a while, and it was good because I could just do it by myself without having to explain to everybody else what I was doing, and there was no questioning it. So I could just relax into it. So I just did that for a while, and that was okay. And then obviously I started to read people and then word of mouth gets out that, hey, go and see this guy. He's really good. Go and see it. So I did that for a while. It kept pretty much. I was pretty low key. It wasn't that I was really well known, but I was known.
Yeah. I
People.
mean, like, I sort of like, I in my head, I don't know why, maybe because of your masculine look or the fact that you don't look like one of those women at the market. I imagine you to be more like, not like the people that you see the market. I imagine you to be like this person that is way more broader with that. So, I wanted to ask this question later, but I'll ask it now. Like, do you find that when you started, it was quite, novice and it was quite a small group, and now do you find there's more people that are trying to do it, and so it's become this sort of different this machine?
Yeah, it's a bit like hypnotherapy. And I think people know my views on 3-day courses, right? I mean, you used to do
Yeah.
a course. I don't remember who it was. Doreen Virtue. Doreen Virtue used to do a course starting the Friday, finish on the Monday, and you got your certificate. You're an angel intuitive authorized reader of
Mm,
people, right?
I know.
And it
So,
really gets
so
my
are you
goat.
saying that this is there 3-day medium courses?
You can do it. You can
Do it in months. I saw one online. You can do an online certificate.
you can go online. You can do 10-week tarot course,
Oh,
right? I mean,
yeah,
so I've got this thing about I can teach anybody in the world to read tarot cards and make them look like they're actually psychic. I can teach anybody.
right.
But they're not psychic. They're
Yeah.
reading the meaning of the
Well,
cards.
that's
But
the thing. That's what I think. That's why I asked that question because I feel that everything now, once it becomes popular, like you were in the earlier days, you became popular, then everyone, well, not everyone, but most people want to copy that if they're in that realm. So they all want they want a cut of what you've got. So some
yeah,
people aren't really doing what you're doing,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Can I ask you, like, and I don't know if this is possible, but can you describe what it feels like? Like, what does it feel like when you start to, like when you were on the TV show, The
Yep.
One, which we'll talk about later,
Yeah.
like when you were going through those rooms looking for those, you know, there was activities you had to do. We had to like guess things, right? Like,
Yep.
what do you feel to tell you to go to that box or that room or that location?
So there's different levels of stuff. So if I'm sitting there doing my meditation or a bit of channeling for myself, it's quite deep because you got your space set up, your sacred space. You're going into a deep, probably a high delta state by that stage. But with that other stuff, it's just a shifting of awareness. It's just this focus where you just start to you breathe very deeply and you're very focused and you just calm yourself down, you reduce your heartbeat, and you just I'm a massive Star Wars fan. Like I am if I am if I turn my camera around, I've got all this Lego here of Star Wars stuff, right? So and the thing I love about Star Wars, it goes into stuff about the Force. And the Force is something that surrounds us, binds us, and creates us. And it's something that is very much the same as psychic ability. It's always there. The
Mm,
other dimensions are always there around us. It's not heaven's not above us, not below us. It's right in front of us. It's
mm,
just reach out for it. And once you reach out for it, so you slow yourself down, slow your breathing down. Remember that primarily you're first and foremost a spiritual being, renting a body, and reach out for it and
yeah,
trust.
I'm trying to. I mean, like, I get it, but like, so when you said you just have to pay attention and just it's a shift. Is it physical? Like, do you
From your
physically
head,
feel right?
from your head to your heart.
Right.
Always read from the heart. And
Yeah.
once you're there's your center of everything. So we can go into whole we're gonna talk to Lawrence about this one day about the whole thing about spirituality, right?
Mm,
Is because the center of the universe is your main chakra, which is your heart chakra. Everyone thinks your crown chakra is the most important one. It's not, it's your heart chakra. That's where everything comes from. That's the essence of the universe is love, right?
right.
And so if you come from there, it links the head and the base chakra because you need them all together, but you read from your heart, so you fall into your heart. So when you do a bit of like it's a bit of a self hypnosis of breathing, get into go inwards, not outwards, go inwards into the heart, go inside yourself, and then reach out with your energy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you just trust what comes to you.
Mm. I do it with car parks. No, I've always done it with car
Yeah,
parks, but I
yeah.
can't extend beyond the car park.
Keep trying.
So the car parks, and sometimes with clients, if I say, "Oh God, I've got a quiet week," then the phone will ring. So
Yeah.
do you get hassled a lot when you go to parties? Like,
Um,
do people want things from you because you've got this gift? Because if
uh,
I was at a party, I would want something.
yeah, look, I think, probably because my reputation sort of precedes me. This is the thing which you learn over time in developing a brand and what you do, right? So I'm not a big fan of fortune telling and just telling people what they want to hear. I'll go deep with him because it's not psychic ability. People think that reading for them is figuring out what their job is, what holiday to go on, should they
They
get their
want sort of
hair
yes and
cut.
no answers, don't they?
It's very basic stuff. It's very third dimensional, useless crap, right? But if I've got connection to these highly evolved beings and your higher self, they're not worried about menial tasks in your life. They're actually going to go into deeper things about why you're here, what you're learning right now, what this is teaching you, and going. And a lot of people don't get that. They go into the fortune telling about, will I get a new job this year, or what's going to happen here? And I get that because it's very much
Money.
well, it's a safety thing as well too. It's their what drives who they are as well too. It's that safety net of I'm not going to have enough money or going to find the person of my dreams. Do I not have to work in anything? And so I've always said to people, "Is like, well, I've got these people on the phone to you when you want to ask about this. Like, are you serious?" So my reputation sort of the people don't ask as much now because they know the answer is,
But
look,
I think that's really nice to bring in because I didn't think of that until you just said that.
mm,
Bringing in my people that have passed over into the reading. I think that would be really quite. It'd be nice rather than just someone just saying, "Oh, you're going to be rich," and the standard stuff. You're always going to be rich when I go and see those people.
well,
They
the
always
thing
say the
is,
same thing.
everyone's got a fear of death, right? And that's the whole point is that this is a dream. We're in a dream. This isn't real. And And when we realize that part that this is not none of this stuff is actually real, it's just a play we're in, and we're meant to play with life like a piece of music. So if anyone's listened to Alan Watts has got a some great quotes about what life is like, and it's not like you're trying. So everyone's trying to get to a destination. When I get here, I'll do this, or I'm going to get as quickly as possible to this point. And life's not like that. I'm trying to find one purpose. Life is like a concert, and
Mm,
a concert's about the whole musical piece,
wow.
and you need to understand everything about the whole concert, not just the last two bars.
So
So
when you say life isn't real, like,
no,
is it does is like because I sometimes think that I'm the only real thing and everything around me isn't real, right? So,
right.
because it is hard to explain because there's so many different
Yeah.
variations, isn't it? Like,
So
we don't know really, do
so
we?
who's having the experience right now? Is it you or
Me, yeah, me.
me? Good.
So,
We don't
yeah.
know.
So does that make you comfortable because you have this ability? Do you feel comfort or do you ever get scared?
Oh, I'm not, I have zero fear of death. All
Yeah.
right. And when you know what's on the other side, and you've experienced other things from the other side, you just kind of go, well, that's just look, you don't have it. And when you bring through people, when you have people sit in front of you and go, "Ah, I've got Amanda here. She keeps knocking on my door, and she keeps talking about the time that you snuck out of the window and went to a blue light disco and you got caught by your parents, right? Next minute, bang. All right.
Right.
I can't know that shit. I can't
Yeah.
possibly know that stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas some mediums would go, I've got a male here. I think he may have died of cancer. I'm not too sure though. But have you got a male who died of cancer?
Yeah.
Yes, my
That's
dad. Oh, it's your dad then. It's dad. Yeah, that's your dad's here to say hello to you. It's
I
like,
don't
that's
yeah.
just, that's cold reading.
Yeah,
Absolute cold
that's
reading.
just but yeah, so I guess leading off that, what do you believe are some of the myths that are out there when it comes to those transactions? Because I don't want to talk about money or anything, but some of them are expensive, and
Oh, yeah.
so
You know, I'm
like
expensive.
some people like charge hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So,
Yeah.
what are some of the myths for our listeners to be aware of, so they
That
can
we
make
know
sure that
everything.
they do get a good thing?
That we know everything, because it's not. So this is your journey in your life. We get given as much as much information as we're meant to give you for you to take action on what you need to do, right? Because it's like reading the end of a book. It's like giving you, hey, here's Harry Potter, the first draft, and going, by the way, go to the end and now
Mm,
read it backwards,
yeah,
right? Life is, again, it's not like that. You're meant to be able to have surprises, take the, because if I come here and tell you something, I could interfere with your free will or interfere with your thing you're meant to achieve or do. So,
mm,
so the whole thing about we know everything and we have answers to everything, we get told just enough to get you on the path to get you where you need to by yourself.
yeah. Can I share? I think I told you this when I saw you last. So in early 2000s, this medium did the ring thing that you were doing, you spoke about, and she said something that was really quite like intense. But then years later, it sort of something happened that I could apply what she said to, and this is what she said. She said that my mother was going to get cancer, but what will happen is that the cancer will be taken over by me, and I will take on my mother's illness. And then when I feel that my mother is ready, I will give it back. And so the weird thing is that mum got breast cancer, and the doctor said, "Oh, look, we've got it in time, it's gone."
Yep.
Then 6 months later, I got sick and I couldn't walk.
Yep.
Then when I got better, my mum got her cancer back. So I don't know if that was the reading or this coincidence, but it really freaks me out
Well, and
because
there's things like that. That just, I mean, again,
so
how
accurate
is someone
though.
to, yeah, yeah, how is someone to know that stuff, right? And
Yeah,
you got to be very careful telling people stuff like that, because I'm always,
yeah,
if you're like with the normal the work that you do, you want your people to leave your place of business better off than they came here, right? So if you're telling people about death and accidents and bad this
well,
stuff's going to
to be
happen,
honest, I laughed.
yeah,
Like, I mean, I laughed because,
yeah,
I didn't think that I could take on someone's illness. So I just didn't think it was real. But then when that event happened and it was just so close, I sort of like then thought, oh, look, I'm taking mum's illness and I'm doing this for her. It
yeah,
was just weird. That's all. Like,
yeah.
it's just, you're right. People shouldn't say too much, I don't
I
think.
just want distinct. And there's two different styles of reading. There's fortune telling, which is pretty much just talk about third dimensional stuff about your job, um, relationships, and future stuff without anything. But there's other things which go deeper into stuff, which goes into same stuff. but it goes into patterns of people and what your soul's trying to experience and what you're trying to experience, the reasons behind stuff as to why things are happening and
Mm,
what the, because again, your soul's on a never ending search of experiencing yourself through different experience through multiple lives and concurrent lives and infinite realities.
mm,
So it's trying to learn.
yeah,
You'll bring stuff into your life that you have to actually experience. So when you start to explain that to people, go, oh, well, okay, throw that fortune telling stuff out because this is much more deeper about what your soul and what your consciousness is trying to experience because it's trying to find out about itself.
yeah. Do you find, because this is a men's podcast, do you find that are men as equally interested as females, or do you feel like it's starting to
At
men?
start.
Because yeah,
Yeah.
because they're evolving now, aren't they? So they're a bit more open to like I think
Yeah.
that you'd be so comfortable if you're a man because I think if you get like full on blokey blokes, they probably would love seeing you because
That's
there's
exactly right. Yeah. Because they
yeah,
can sit there and just go, all right, I know Greg gives it both barrels because like I'm pretty blunt with what I
yeah,
say, right? And I'll just give it. And some of those guys are really good to be able to go. "Look, I know he played footy. I know he used to do this. Or I can feel comfortable sitting here and just
exactly,
breeze a bit. So that really does help with that. So I just sort of see myself as a bit of a bridge.
yeah,
Is that I'm a bridge for people to be able to move from one state of awareness to another. And if I be able to help people or men to sort of allow themselves to move that way into a more spiritual life and to find out what really makes them tick, then I'm happy to do that. That's fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got the, and I think they won't even realize that they're doing it. Like it's so sort of organic because it's not like someone saying, "Look at me, I'm this. Let's
Yeah.
change." You're just a blokey bloke too, and it just feels that's
Uh,
good.
Men who embrace their spiritual side, oh, tell you what, there's some powerful dudes that do that. And that's
Yeah,
the thing is that it's when you start embracing that essence with inside you and that's that higher self, it's just it really starts to shift you. And the funny thing is now is um we're going to talk about this, but the the more that men reach out for help, the more we need men like yourself and Lawrence and other people who are very much on the intuitive side to step up because you are the leaders in for other people to fall behind. So you're sort of like at the front of the queue with the machete going through the bush trying to cut the bush down. And what comes behind that is all these other guys who start to go, well,
yeah. I mean,
Joey's
I do think that it's gone to be it's gone crazy. Like
mm,
something really, I don't know if it's COVID, but I remember when I started, like 16 something 20 years ago. I remember I bought a bowl, a crystal bowl,
mhm.
because I was really into it, and I just got teased so much.
Oh,
Like I got laughed at by everyone. People thought it was weird, and I didn't understand that all I wanted to do was meditate and just find myself.
yeah.
And it took ages before I noticed that there were other men that were interested. But
Mm,
like now, I feel like what you're saying. Now I just feel like this beautiful organic shift where it is becoming more equal. And I
yeah.
agree with you. It's like it's just going to be so good when men just get it and let's see it and
As long
they
as it
can
does
talk.
become a fad like some things where it's cool to be a um a male spiritual people and they get to be Instagram influencers and they have no
Yeah.
substance to themselves,
Well,
right? So
the answer to that is that there are a lot of fake gurus.
oh
See, so as long that's I think that's why I asked that question about the myths because people, I guess, need to do research and actually find out before they go and pay lots of money
yeah.
because there's so many people out there that are not trained, and I think they do those 2-day courses and then they try
Mhm.
and do really intense subject matter.
It's like going to the gym. You can't be going to the gym and 3 days later be lifting 100 kilo bench presses, right? Not going to happen. So you need to train yourself like going to the gym. But I will say that when you mentioned the word about gurus before, it's hard because I'm trying to educate people. I'm going to do a live Wednesday night with a mate of mine because the question I have is that where do you go? What training can you do? Where can I look for? And especially men in the industry and people and men I know have unfortunately taken advantage of women in vulnerable positions. And you see things like John of God, who was on Oprah and run a massive healing center out of Brazil, and now he's up on child molestation charges and in jail and
Yeah.
child trafficking and
Same with
that.
that Exium one as well in Hollywood.
XCM, same thing. There
You
was a
know?
guy here in Melbourne who was a yoga teacher, 50, 60 women he was sleeping with. And so
Oh, God, it's
there still
terrible.
is that unfortunate dark part of it where it needs some real men to step up and not be gurus and just say, look, I'm here just to share my knowledge, but don't put me above you. Right? I'm
Yeah,
no
yeah,
guru,
yeah.
just
Like,
but here's
don't
my
make
knowledge.
yourself think that you're better than
No,
everyone else wants to be you. Everyone's on the
yeah.
same level.
As soon as someone says the word guru, run
Yeah.
as fast as you can and get out because that's just ego.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about your fame. Let's talk about the going on TV, and I loved watching it. Like I watched it when it was first on, but of course I didn't know you, and
Yep.
I enjoyed it. But then I rewatched it when I got to connect with you. So firstly, how did you get to go on? And can you, because it seemed so intense with that guy that was the judge,
Mm.
that guy that just didn't believe anything.
Oh, Richard's playing a role. He's
Yeah,
playing
so,
a
like,
role. Yeah.
how was it for you to be in that environment and you held it so together and we were so professional? Like, what was that like?
Um,
Like,
so
yeah,
I'll go back to the start. So I was watching the cricket, I think, or I was watching sport anyway. And my ex-wife, who's a musician, was looking on Star Now for some gigs and some roles. Anyway, so she was looking at that, and she reached out. She said, "Oh, Greg, they're doing some casting for a sidekick show. You should apply for it." I went, cricket's on. I'll watch that. No, no, no. So anyway, a day or so later, I thought I'd apply for it and just filled it out and all that stuff. And she said something to me which was really important. So Miranda said, "Now, when you submit this in, you have to be someone different. You can't be like anybody else. You got to play your role." So I submitted it that I worked in the bank. I play football and I wear a suit each day.
uh,
And so I played an angle, right, which was
yeah.
very, very smart.
So the street thing is
Say
your
that.
angle.
So that was my angle, right? So
Yeah.
so anyways, we got through and I didn't tell you how you went, right, on those questionnaires. So I got feedback from that. Yep, I got through. Can you please submit some more questions? So I did that and got through that. And next minute they said, "Oh, can you come in for an interview in the offices in St Kilda Road?" I went, "Oh, okay." It's going to be out of hand. I was just it was a bit of a joke, right? So anyway,
No, you
I
weren't.
went in there and
You're a sidekick, you knew.
um, funny. I'll go back to it's a funny story at the end of this, but um, and then so I thought, well, I'll go and see what happens. So I did the whole full suit, rocked up there in the suit, and it was really fun. I walked in there, and there was a lady sitting down there, and I sat down. I was having a chat to her, and she said, "Oh, wouldn't mind a coffee?" And I went, "Oh, I'll get you one if you want." And so I went and got her a coffee and all that kind of stuff. And I came back, and she said, "So when do I go in?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I'm just here for the interview." She went, "Oh, I thought you were part of the crew." I went, "No, no, I'm actually part. I'm a contestant trying to get
Oh
in."
God.
She just had no idea, right? So anyway, so we went through. We met the producer, the head of production. There was some cameramen there. They had some guests there that you had to read. So and the head of talent. So we're into this hotel room. They sort of just said, "We're going to set up some things. Tell us a bit about yourself in the full suit, the whole thing, the banker, blah 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 blah." And then it's okay, right? We got someone's going to come in. You'll have to read them. You got 5 minutes, and then we'll just finish up and we'll go from there. So anyway, lady comes in and sits down. I said,
Pressure.
"Well, my name's Greg. This is what I do. If doesn't make sense, just say no. But I'm just yes or no answers are fantastic, right? Because I wasn't going to give too much information, so I'm just going to go right. So anyway, I said, all right, got a man here. His name's Arthur, and he's passed very very recently. And then she's just gone burst into tears, and she walked off, got out of her chair, and walked into the bathroom. And I'm thinking,
You're in.
oh
You're
fuck.
in.
No, I thought I've done something wrong here. I thought, oh shit.
Really? You
All
thought
right.
that you didn't realize that you actually did something good?
Well, I didn't know, right? And that's because there's a lot of pressure on you, all these cameras on you and all that stuff. And I had no idea. And again, they don't tell you anything, right? They don't tell you anything at all. So anyway, they finished up and I left. And okay, rightio. That was the end of the
The
thing.
audition.
That was the top 20. And then they called me again and said, "You're in the top 10 and you've got to
What?
go to Sydney," right? So although I've kept this all secret, right? And so I've had to then let my boss at work know, Dean, and I said, "Mate, I've got to go to Sydney for a day. I'll be back." I didn't tell him what it was about. Um,
You're
but
so
I just did a
funny.
day
You're
off.
literally going to come out on television to
Just
all of
magic,
Australia.
right? So, so, so I went to Sydney, and they had all these people, they had all these famous psychics there, and I'm rocked up, and I'm just, just this dude from Melbourne, and no one knew who I was. Like, well, there's a couple of people knew who I was, but nobody, lot of the famous people had no idea who I was, right? So one lady was sitting there about how she was, used to do this, and it was so much ego, and it was so many people just.
Are
It
these the
was,
other
I mean,
contestants?
oh, yeah, contestants were just they were fighting at that stage about who was
Oh,
better and all this, and I'm just sitting there going, because the best thing about where I was, is I'm very highly paid contractor in the telecommunications, so I had a job to go back to. I didn't need this, right?
yeah.
Everyone was fighting over themselves to try and big note each other, and I'm just like,
You were,
"Sit
yeah.
right."
I felt that you didn't want to need to prove yourself. You were just
Yeah.
there. Well, everyone else. I hate it when people say, "I'm going to win," or
Well,
you
they
know,
were.
yeah.
Yeah, and one Debbie Malone was the worst. She was horrible. Like, she was literally just
Mm.
disgrace, right? And so basically got to the top 10, and they s well, not top 20, what something like that, and then they said, "Okay, right, did the testing, come back to Melbourne, we'll let you know in a few days." So anyway, so I got a phone call at work, and they said, "You sitting down?" I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Oh, you've made it into the one." I went, "Oh, shit. Can you come to Sydney for a month?" And I went,
Um,
"Oops."
so let's get this right. So you didn't tell anyone, and at that point, you hadn't done anything to that level. This was
No,
all you just.
it's all new.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, can we go back to
Well,
that
in the
question? Then,
meantime, I'm
mm,
rolling out one of the biggest telecommunication rollouts for a bank in Melbourne in living history, right?
you're
So,
hysterical.
so I'm just going. So I was really lucky that so I had to tell my boss, and I'd say, "Mate, you can't tell anybody. It's highly confidential. You can't say what's going." But I'm going away for 4 weeks. I'll just take annual leave, right? I'll be gone for 4 weeks, 3 weeks. I'll be back. Don't worry. I'll get kicked out very quickly, right? I'll be back before you know it. So anyway, um, a month goes by. I'm still a dean. Don't worry. Look, seriously, I'll be back soon. For 3.5 months later,
Oh my god, that long?
half months later, I come back to work, and of course, the
And you,
cat's out of the bag because I had to tell people I was away on a show. And look, I'm really lucky that the company I worked for at the time were really, really fan. My boss they were so good about it, but they were also really intrigued by it. They were really good. And the funny thing, the day I came back to work, is they're all wearing tinfoil hats. They all got the elf around their head, right? And they
yeah.
used to send me emails with nothing in them, right? Just blank emails because they thought I could read them and know. So anyway,
Because
so
yeah, because it was very, it wasn't anything we'd seen before, so of course it was gonna be unusual,
yeah, yeah, and
right?
then
You were
someone,
the only normal person on there. Everyone else
correct.
had a bit of a twistedness about them,
Oh,
didn't
that
they?
Salvatore was, like me, he was working in telecommunications. So him and I were the only people still working in corporate careers, right? And, so that was really funny, and so we got through the all that stuff, and that's when I found out, because I didn't tell you how you went on any results whatsoever. So I didn't know how I did on a lot of things until the TV show came out, right? But I did find out that interview I did in St Kilda Road, it was her dad that
Right.
passed away, and that's why she was, like, bursting into tears, and
Yeah.
she had to leave the room because she couldn't continue on, because it was actually the head of production's best friend, and they just went, "Fuck, this guy's on fire." Just
Yeah.
and then throughout all the things, they just kept going. So there was a bit of conspiracy theory to do with the TV show, that they sort of tried to get certain people to win, and then I came along
Oh,
and
really?
bang, bang, bang,
I
bang,
thought
bang.
that I sort of got a vibe that they were trying to trick you. They were like, sort of like, "Let's try and
What?
trick you by putting something in, let's see if he figures it out." But I found that last challenge to be the hardest. That whether you have to find the body or
Oh, that was,
find.
I mean, the problem is that you sort of have to say something,
Yeah, but
right? The body's not there. The
I know,
body
but
was
you
never
went
there.
near it. You were good.
I made that up, right? Because you have to again, when you're writing a TV show, you have to take your psychic hat off and put on,
Mhm.
I'm an entertainer, right? So how can I make this entertaining for the audience, right? And again, these guys, it was their job, right? So if I failed at this stuff, it didn't really matter. I go back to normal work, still live a life, all good. Nothing's changed. Just reads on the side. Didn't make much of a difference for me, right? So, but I had to, and Maria Alito, who was on the show, said this to me, and she's a really, really good friend. And she said, "Greg, it's a TV show. It's for entertainment. Make sure because if you're not funny, you're not entertaining, they'll just get rid of you." And they can
Right.
do that. So they're looking
Yeah.
for you to bond with certain characters as well too. So that's hence why the suit came out really good in the end, because they were
Yeah.
bonding with a character, which
And
was great.
you were pretty relatable too.
That was the thing, is people go, "Oh, there's the bridge," right? Also, the fact I was getting bloody helicopters in the middle of the bush, and gold nuggets and hammers and
Yeah.
bodies in the back of a
So
boot,
they
and
only
that
did
was.
one season, didn't they?
They did 2. That was the 2nd season. The other one was back in 2009 or something like that.
Oh,
So that was,
okay.
this was the 2nd one. They won't do it again, but
Yeah.
the it got a bit, so when I got the boy in the back of the boot at the train station, and I went, "Oh, I'm in a shot here."
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but I
it's
never
just so
thought about winning it.
interesting. It's so interesting that I didn't, I didn't know until now that you were all new to that, and yet you just went on there and you just did it live.
Mm.
Like, you don't have me. I had no idea. I thought you would have gone on there because you were good and you'd been practicing, but you just went as a joke and then won it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I just did my stuff. I was probably seeing, 4 or 5 clients a week after work
wow. And I'm
on a
guessing it all
weekend.
changed once you won.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
my email server broke.
How did your life change after winning?
So 890,000 people watched the first episode, and I got 80,000 requests for readings
80,000.
in the
Oh my
first
god! Wow.
4 hours. So
Yeah.
I
And
was got
am I correct
start
in
out
think and
there.
saying that this is not your driver now, is it? Like that you're really more into mental health now, or
Oh, look, it is a I I I still see people for psychic reading because they're great lead-ins, right? Because people are coming because their life's not working so well. So it's a great be able to sit down and talk to them and go, "Hey, this is what's happening." Because I had a chat with a guy the other day who came for a psychic reading, and it was when his marriage is breaking, falling apart, and they got a child and like kind of stuff. And of course, he wanted to know, what was going to happen. I said, "Mate, look, you need some serious counselling to get through this. You guys need, if you want this to fix, because otherwise she's going to take half of everything, take the kid. You're going to be paying alimony of money. You're going to lose half your super, and you're screwed."
mm,
I know you're coming for a psychic read, but what you really need together is therapy.
yeah,
And it's actually a good lead in from that to go, look, I can help you with this, and I can help you guys reset your relationship because there's not much wrong with it. You've just got a whack, and you've just had a baby. There's a lot of stuff going on, and so there's a lot of things that leads into. So I find it really important that people come because they're still seeking help. If you
yeah.
just want to know what's going to happen in my life, no.
No,
Um,
I mean, like, I think I think that's why I said earlier it would work really nicely for you to do that, including then to teach
yeah.
solutions and all that,
Oh, it's great.
which would again make men more open to spirituality and become more open to all this realm of things that they probably thought was hippie or avoided. So for
Well,
you, like seeing that you work with a lot of men, what do you feel is the issues that are currently are currently being thrown at men in 2021 or 2020? What are the
mm,
things that you're noticing as the main things?
confusion, real confusion. It's been going for a long time about
Confusion.
what's their role in society now, because you've got all these females who are self, they can do everything themselves, right? They don't need a man, and they've been told they don't need a man. You've got a lot of women who are very much in the masculine, and then they play the masculine in their life. When they get home, when they're with their husband, they're in the masculine as well, and then the man goes in his feminine, and then it all turns to crap, right? We've got our whole psyche as a man, and I'm 45, 46 a couple of weeks. My whole brand as a man when I from a child was success is based on material possession. What you have and what job you have is your success rate.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. So that was from dad. Your dad said
dad,
that.
school, everything.
Yeah.
Everything society. We're all based about how hard you could go with a corporate career and how much stress you can put yourself under and shut up your emotions and never talk about stuff. And you've got fathers who went there through kids' lives because they were working all the time. You've got fathers who haven't shown emotion, who haven't taught their children to be emotional. You've got females who have brought up boys, which I'm going to probably speak out of turn here, but dads need their dads.
Yeah.
So they've got a whole generation there. We've lost rites of passage completely through our through our culture. We used to have rites of passage, but now we just have kids just go through life without any kind of ceremonies.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, can there still be, because some of the rites of passage were inappropriate,
oh yeah,
which,
like,
right?
literally.
I'm just like, but I think there's still room for that. There's still room for
Yeah.
those sort of things. But why do you think that there's always? And I'm assuming here, but I'm just curious, like because you play footy and all that, okay?
Mm.
But why do you think there's this easy, you know, place that men go to when it comes to that rite of passage, sex, that whole naughty, let's get drunk behavior? Like, why is it so hard for men to let go of that? I know that we're trying, but like, what is it about that pull towards that naughty sort of room or space that men like?
because we aren't educating our men. There is no education in schools about what it means, no value-based system what it is to be a man. Where we've been taught what it's to be a man from bad role models. You know, you look at um, you know,
Just
look at
anyone.
football for example, and look at what Wayne Carey did through the. I mean, he used
Yeah.
to pick up women left, right, and center, and he's your idol and cheating on his wife,
Mm,
and you know that's not a
mm,
role model, right? We should be looking at
yeah,
other people who are really strong role models
mm.
who do the right thing. You got 75 million people in America who love Trump, right? So
Yeah.
we're
But
looking.
but then I was gonna say also, if that Wayne Creary thing happened, which, there was so many different we could talk about so many different stories, like
Mm,
that cricket Shane Warne, all that. The
yeah,
thing that I get annoyed about is if a woman if a man does it, we forgive, but if a woman does it, it doesn't go away.
no,
So it's that equality of, like that the Monica Lewinsky thing, I saw a documentary on it. Like that poor girl went through hell,
yeah.
but yet America forgave Clinton.
Bill Clinton's a stud.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
it's but I was thinking, so you don't believe that there's any elements of tribalism where we're drawn towards that. You know what I mean? Like that
Oh,
if a group of guys go towards the light, we all just follow.
yeah.
Because you know what I mean?
I believe tribalism for men is highly, highly important, but in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Men need their brotherhood, which is why your group's so good. Is men be able to talk to men in an honest and emotional, intelligent way, which is open and honest, and they can talk about this stuff without having to, feel like they're weak. And there's still the stigma around showing emotion is weakness. And no matter how many men I speak to, it's the same thing all the time. I've been bottling this up for so many years, and I've been deadening my emotions through alcohol.
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean, I agree with you in regards. I still don't think that. I still think it's not. It's not. It looks good on paper, but it's still not as good as we hope. Like
no,
like there's so many groups that have spurted in the last say 4 months.
yep.
But it's the same thing. Guys aren't being vulnerable. If someone's vulnerable, there's still a bit of attack. So
Mm.
we're still a little bit ignorant there.
Oh,
You know?
absolutely. And this is playing a long game here is that we're just using the tip. Again, they're not taught any of this stuff through school at all. They're not taught about base values. I mean, martial arts is one of the greatest things every man should do because there's a code there. And the Japanese samurai had the Bushido code with through honor and courage. And if we taught men about a code and a way, like a way of life that every man should live by these values, then, you bring up, some of these teenagers with a whole different perspective in life about respect and
Mm.
love and compassion and
So
joy.
why do you think that we don't? When I'm listening and I don't have children, but it sounds pretty obvious. But it's all the obvious things are things that we don't do.
Mm, bad leadership,
Yeah.
completely bad leadership. Parents who don't know what to do, parents who have given up. And there's some parents are reaching out. The education department's not interested at all.
Yeah.
But you've got some guys who are doing some great jobs through the education department. So Dan Beeson is doing some great job with some kids and setting some things up. He's doing some really magnificent stuff, but it's not. We still lack correct leadership. You still got corporate careers, based on money and
Yeah.
profit, and when you've got that still in your culture, then you're still fighting against a tidal wave to a certain point. So we need leadership that teaches things differently, and that's what I love, doing what I do because you can be the strong man and still, you know, have a very strong emotional intelligence. And the more that men realize that women love it,
They
women
love what
love
they
they
love someone that's
love men
right.
who are emotionally intelligent, who are deep, who can be strong and powerful but gentle in the same terms.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, come on, just and to be able
I
to.
know. Like some people, like let's just as a last question. Oh my god, we've spoken for an hour. I knew I'd do this with you. Um, but do you think that it's not being done as fast because there's no urgency? Like, is urgency something that will get the job done quicker? Like, when I was interviewing someone that was talking about domestic violence for men, and he's an advocate that I had no idea that there was no protection for men at all. So it's going to take years and years. So do you think urgency is our only driver for men's action? Like that's the only thing that everyone will take notice because there is this belief that men can cope.
Yeah, I mean, there is no from the outside, it doesn't look like it's broken.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It just looks like it's, even though male suicide rates are through the roof. Yeah, 1 in 4 men have depression,
Yeah.
but it's not talked about, you know. So it's still a stigma with men just sucking it up in a way. So it's going to take a while, but it's going to take people to be the lighthouses, I suppose, to be say, okay, this is the way. And there's a lot of people helping out there, but we're
Mm.
talking about the Earth's been around for 6 billion years, and humans been around for what 60,000 years in one form or another. We're talking about a 20, 30-year period here where we're just reaching this now to change society. It's going to take a bit longer to be able to shift
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
So,
it is, yeah, I know what you're saying, but like, I always think about the last century.
mm,
Like, that century was hideous. The war, Nazis, all these things that happened in that century. And I'm thinking we're still not trying to fix the fact that people went through all that trauma. So it's about acceptance, isn't it? You were talking about that, I think, on the podcast that I did for
yep.
you, that if we don't accept that there is trauma, then we can't just expect men just to be always stoic and strong and all those things. It's
I think
hard.
there's one thing that I saw, and Brian Rose is a bit of a, yeah, he's out there, right? But he interviewed David Icke,
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
the last 15 minutes of the first interview was the best 15 minutes I've seen in a long, long, long time.
What did he
So,
say?
so if anyone wants to go back and look at that and see it,
I think
and
it's
I don't
been.
know
I
if it's
think
still up,
they've all been
been
removed.
taken down, right?
They were.
We're a spiritual being. We're a consciousness. There is no death. There's only love. And when people realize that we're all one and we're all connected and we're not separate, then things will change, regardless if you're man, white, blue, purple, pink, green, yellow, heterosexual, homosexual, trisexual, bisexual. We're all one. We're
Yeah.
one consciousness. We're all together on this planet together, and we're all a version of each other. And what affects me affects you. When we get to that point, then that's when true transformation happens. And what's happening now, as you're seeing, especially in the States, they're deliberately dividing
Yeah. I was going
left
to
and
say
right.
we're. Not, it's. I don't think we're going to be alive, mate. Because I heard something that really devastated me. Like, I
Yeah,
heard that in America, only 14% of the Americans are spiritual. The rest are, are these conservative, Republicans. And I'm going, oh my God, that really like freaked me out. I'm thinking that's not a lot of people when you think about it. Because our circle seems to be like that, I thought there
yeah.
was more. So there's a lot of people that have to do work.
Oh, look, if I drove through the Midwest there, I'd probably be burned at the stake. Um,
Yeah.
but I think that's why I love the message that there is hope. There is hope there that the more and more we see ourselves as an infinite consciousness that is renting this body to have an experience and to experience all different ranges of emotions in the human body, but to see us all as you are a reflection of me and I'm a reflection of you, when we are one consciousness split into different consciousness and having an experience. But
Yeah.
we have not to fear death. We are
Mm,
alive, but this is the dream
mm.
down here, and we need to come together as best we can and support each other. And that's a great message. And when you look at from that, you don't have this thing where you have to compete against other people. You have empathy towards other people. You actually, but also you can feel that that's that person's experienced this lifetime, and I can't get involved in that person's soul journey because that's what they choose to do as well. So it's just
Yeah.
come
I
back to
mean,
love.
yeah, I think I was very lucky. My grandmother babysat me when I was 3 and 4, and she taught me what you just said. And I
Mm.
just feel blessed because she didn't teach my brothers and sisters. She only taught me, and I couldn't understand why I didn't see color in
Yeah,
people. Right,
yeah.
and everyone was going, "Oh my God, the Indians!" Da, da, da. And it's like, oh, I didn't notice it. So it was a good feeling to not see all that stuff.
Mm.
Greg, I could talk to you for hours, but you're
Off
really
we go.
bad. I've gone into an hour podcast when it's only 30 minutes. All right, Greg, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us. And obviously, you are a good talker because we could have easily gone for another hour.
I think we
But
got common
so
stuff there.
I'll leave all your information below. So if people are interested in contacting you or looking at your website, they can do so. So thanks very much.
Cheers, mate.
You've been listening to the Secret Means Business podcast. So be mindful the podcast is out Mondays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. So make sure you subscribe and go and look at everything on YouTube for SMB TV so you can see Greg's beautiful face. All right, guys, see you next time. Bye.